Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, I remember that one. I've seen hundreds of crucifixions, but I remember that one. Who could forget? You see, I work for the Roman government. I'm a centurion, a commander in charge of 100 soldiers. Crucifixions were a regular part of our job. We carried out the swift and necessary punishment for those who were tried and pronounced guilty of their crime. But this day seemed a little different. This criminal didn't seem like a criminal. And the crowd of Jews in Jerusalem were in a frenzy that day. They were all shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" But what was he guilty of? I know it's not my job to do the sentencing, but what had he done to cause this uproar? Then I heard through the crowd that they were charging him with blasphemy. So this guy said he was the Son of God, and they want him nailed to a cross for that? I don't know why that would be such a big deal. Shoot, Caesar claims to be one better than that. He says he is a god, but who am I to question? I am just the commander in charge to make sure the sentence is carried out. I went ahead with a few of my soldiers up the hill outside the city to make sure everything was ready, while others in my command stayed back to administer the flogging. Oh no, this one wasn't just going to get strung up on a tree. The sentence came with orders for even more punishment. My men may have gotten carried away in all the frenzy that was going around this man, because when he finally got up to the place we call Golgotha, he was unrecognizable. He had been beaten, spit upon, and whipped nearly to the point of death. 39 times, my soldiers told me. Then, what was left of his clothes were stripped off. He was thrown down on the cross, and my soldiers went to work. Generally, when you crucify a man, the first hand is the most difficult. The criminal wants to get away, and he fights you, so we have 2 soldiers hold him down. This guy, he didn't put up a fight. I just thought he was exhausted. As an executioner, I have been called every name you can imagine. I've had men yell at me, plead with me, and definitely curse me, but I wasn't ready for what happened next. He looked at us, he looked at me, but in his eyes, I saw something so unusual. Instead of hatred, I'm pretty sure I saw love. It was so strange and out of the ordinary that I found myself puzzled and wondering if that was truly what I had just seen. My soldiers carried out the rest of the task. They raised up his cross between the 2 other criminals, and the wait began. People were shouting, mocking him. The soldiers were joining in and even rolling dice to see who would get his tunic. Then it got dark, like the sun no longer existed. Now, I'm not a superstitious person, but this was like a mystical darkness, and it stayed dark for 3 hours. In all of my years, I had never experienced anything like that, never. Then Jesus cried out a few times, but eventually he uttered one last loud cry and breathed his last. At that very moment, the earth began to shake. The rocks were splitting apart. People were falling down everywhere. Even I had difficult times standing my ground. But then, and something even stranger happened. I don't know how to explain it, but as I stood there looking up at this dead man, I knew something was different. In my heart, that many would say was made of stone, I knew that he was different. And in the midst of all those who still remained on that hill watching, I couldn't help but to proclaim what I now knew to be true. Surely, this man was the Son of God. So you ask, were you there? Oh, I was there. I had to be there. It was my job. But I will never be the same.